Hey gardening friends, it's Ashley with Ashley Grows. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. And if you are new, be sure to subscribe because when I get to 1,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing a huge Baker Creek Seeds giveaway. Now let's get on with today's video. This is only my second year of gardening, and I feel like it has been a part of me forever. Gardening just runs through my veins, and I'm really excited to share with you today's video. Now, this is not how I planned my first official video here on this channel to be. However, it is already Monday, March 4th, and I am dying to get some seeds started. I do have a greenhouse in the works. Very, very excited, and I'll be sharing that journey as soon as it's finished. I've been taking lots of videos and pictures on the whole progress of that, so I'll share that with you guys once it's finished. But in my mind, I thought that I'm going to start my videos off in the greenhouse and things are going to be perfect and in place, but sometimes done is better than perfect, and so that's why I'm here today. I also picked the windiest day to do this, but it is totally fine. It is a beautiful, like 65 degrees here in Missouri. I'm in zone 6B, and I'm very excited to start seeds today. So we're going to be doing some black cherry tomatoes. I grew these last year very, very successfully. Love them, love them, love them. It's this really nice dark purple color cherry tomato. A lot of people have never seen these before, and they are not the same size as your typical cherry tomato. They're actually a lot larger. I'd say they are probably close to golf ball size, if you need like a size comparison. And then I'm also going to be doing these Paul Robeson tomatoes. These are really nice. They're described as like a sweet and smoky brick color tomato. They are about 7 to 10 ounces. So they are like your typical slicing tomato, but both of these are really good. And just for the sake of today's video, I just want to start out really small and do these 2 tomatoes today. I'm going to be putting them in these little recycled pots that I purchased last year from the Dollar Tree. Now, let me preface this by saying, now that I know what I know from gardening last year, I can really appreciate why people spend a little bit more money on stuff like pots or seed starting trays. It is because these are not going to last me forever. I did a lot of Dollar Tree shopping last year to start my garden seeds, and like my strawberry planter back here. I don't know if it's going to focus on it or not, but that's all Dollar Tree as well. It's holding up very nicely, but I can definitely see why people invest more money in stuff like this. I just didn't personally know or really recognize the fact that this is something that I would want to do for years and years and years to come. So hopefully throughout the year, throughout the season, or throughout the next couple of seasons, I'm going to be able to invest money into more quality type products. But for the time being, these are just fine. I do want to use them up. And just like last year, I do plan on actually selling some of my seed starts as well. And so in order to kind of cycle through things and get rid of what I have that I no longer want, I figured I might as well use these. So let's go ahead and get started. I like to use Happy Frog soil to start my seeds. Of course, this is only my second year gardening, so I don't think this season, as I do videos, I'm going to be able to share with you. I can't say stuff like this has worked for me for a decade, because the reality is I'm only using what worked for me last year. My garden was incredibly successful for it being my first time gardening ever. And when I say gardening, I mean growing anything. There was never a time before last year where I grew something as simple as basil or parsley or anything like that. So this is my garden right here behind me. I will be giving a garden tour and probably some harvest videos throughout the season. But I also want to compile some of my video clips and photos from last season just to kind of show you guys how my garden was set up, because I did make some changes for this season. So let's get to planting, shall we? So the first thing that you're going to need, obviously, is your pots, your seeds. I have this handy dandy little tool. This is just something that I got from our local conservation department. I was looking on here and I was really interested and just the visual that this gave. Now, I'll be honest, last year when starting seeds, I never used a ruler or anything like that. I just kind of eyeballed it when I was planting my seeds and when I was paying attention to my seed depth. Both of these tomatoes want to be planted at 1/8 of an inch. And I was looking on this, and this is 1/4 of an inch. It is not very big at all. And 1/8 of an inch is half of 1/4 of an inch. And so that doesn't seem very deep to me, but I want to try to stay true to that for today. I'll probably get lazy. When sowing seeds, I like to use a spoon. A straw is really good to keep handy. And then I've also got my little Sharpie pen along with my little markers. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark some of my little, what are they called? Tags, indicators, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and get those all written out because I want to be able to obviously know what is in each pot. So that's really important, is to label what you got going on. Now I know what Paul Rob stands for. It stands for Paul Robeson. However, last year when I very first started gardening, I had to be extremely specific with labeling everything. It's amazing what you learn gardening just one season, because I never thought that I was going to be able to remember half of the things I've remembered in reference to like names and just all the things. There's a lot that goes into gardening that you do have to know, just general knowledge. But I promise you, if you just dive in feet first, you are going to really learn a lot and retain a lot of knowledge. So I'm going to do 6 of the Paul Robesons and 6 of the black cherries. Now, when this video turns off, I might go a little bit crazy, but you guys don't want to watch me sow like 40 seeds, do you? I don't know if you do or not, but maybe in the future I'll do like a seed sowing marathon. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go, y'all. I just am really passionate about this, and never in my wildest dreams did I think that my 2023 garden would be what it was. Just you wait. I promise there is going to be a video coming of my 2023 garden. You know, I won't be able to really walk you through a whole lot of things that I was doing step by step, obviously. However, maybe it'll just give you some inspiration on how to set up your garden and just general ideas. So we've got all of our labels. Okay, so next is our seed starting mix. I am using Happy Frog. That is my preference. You can use whatever seed starting mix you prefer, but I really do like Happy Frog because it is pretty complete. A lot of people will try to say that this is actually not a good seed starting mix because it's got too many nutrients, and I beg to differ. This is actually perfect. It is perfect. It grows very strong seedlings, and that is what I'm after. Just going to get these all here on the table. 8. I cannot believe how beautiful it is outside. 9. I could do this all day long. 10. I'm running out of space, so I'm going to start utilizing my little clear plastic container, which I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that here in a little bit, because that's actually my little trick that I'm going to be using to store my seeds. So remember, done is better than perfect. I could go and fuss with getting a gardening can or a cup of water. I'm just going to use my good old watering hose. Now I have it turned down very low pressure, but I'm just going to go ahead and wet my soil here. And I like to work at this table because it's got the grate, and anything that, you know, drains through is just going to go right to the ground. Is it ideal to sit down and do this? Of course it's not, and typically I would be standing, but for the sake of this video and my tripod and just getting the right shots and stuff for you, I'm sitting. If it was like a hot summer day and I was doing this, it would be really refreshing to feel all that water dripping on me, but the truth is I'm trying to watch my toes from getting wet. So I'm just going to get my soil wet here. Again, just a really light drizzle from the hose. If you've got a can, use a can. If you want to use just a cup of water, use a cup of water. The idea is just to get water on your soil. So don't overthink it when it comes to gardening. I overthink everything, and it's just something that I'm trying to overcome. That's why if you hear me say done is better than perfect, that is just me trying to remind myself of that, because if it were up to me, I would sit there and I would dwell on all of the small stuff, and it just would not get done, or at least it would get done at a later time after I have procrastinated forever, which is kind of what I've done here. So I am just kind of patting down my soil, getting everything neat and tidy just with the back of my spoon here. You guys can't even see what I'm doing, but a little tip for you guys: open your seed package from the bottom and not the top, okay? Why aren't you focusing? There you are. Open it from the bottom and not the top, and just make sure that you kind of pat your seed package down so that all the seeds run to the bottom. If you open it from the top, you run the risk of damaging the label that shows you what is in that seed packet. So this is how tiny these tomato seeds are. Why aren't you focusing? Please focus. Focus on here. There you go. Tiny, tiny little seeds, right? I only need a little bit of them because germination rate on Baker Creek seeds is phenomenal. So I'm just going to take my little tool that I showed you guys earlier. I'm just going to make my little hole about 1/8 of an inch, which is what's recommended. There goes my seeds on the ground. Now here's where the straw comes in, okay? This is something I basically learned on my own. I did learn it on my own, and then it turns out it's actually a lot of other people's tips and tricks too. I use the straw to use to kind of scoop my seeds into. And then what I'll do is I'll just dump them into my little hole. So you don't need the seed to travel all the way down the full length of the straw in order for this to work. And I just find that this is more of a precise application of the seeds, which is pretty important. You don't want your seeds going all over the place willy-nilly. So I am sowing 2 seeds per hole. And you'll see a lot of people will do that. The whole purpose of doing that, now my seed packet's over here on the ground. The whole purpose of doing that is just to give yourself a better germination rate. So, you know, if one of the seeds fails, you have a chance of another seed actually germinating. So let me go grab my seed packet that fell because I do not want to waste any of these seeds. Put that back in there and just give it a good fold over. If you guys want to see how I store my seeds, please let me know. So we've got that done. And now what I'm going to go ahead and do, bring you right back down here again, is I'm just going to cover up the seeds with soil. And after I have my seeds sown in there, I'm going to, of course, label it. And now I just have to wait for these to germinate. I mean, that's all. That's literally all it takes for you to grow your own food. Yeah, there's a little bit of prep work. Yeah, there's a little bit of education. But I'll tell you guys, last year, when I started my garden, again, jump in feet first. And I want to just preface this by saying also that I am a stay-at-home mom. And I realize that people who work a full-time job don't have the same availability as someone who is able to tend to their garden all day, every day. However, I do believe it's possible. I think that it just takes a little bit of extra planning. But the way that I learned everything I learned last year was I literally learned as I went. And so what I would do is okay, so for instance, I'd be like, okay, I want to plant some tomato seeds. So I would purchase my tomato seeds, purchase all the stuff that I needed for it. And then I would say, okay, now how do I plant these tomato seeds? So I would spend numerous hours out here on this patio. I'm going to do the exact same thing with these guys as well, with the water and the holes and all the things. But I would spend hours out here on this patio just doing research and watching videos, mainly YouTube videos, but TikTok is also a really great place for education on gardening. If you guys need some recommendations for channels and stuff like that, I've got plenty that I absolutely love. One of my favorite YouTube channels is Grow Veg, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the gentleman who does the videos, but I'd say that out of anybody, he was probably one that I turned to the most just because of his way of explaining everything. I also really love Epic Gardening, The Millennial Gardener, MI Gardener, and of course, I cannot forget Jess from Roots and Refuge Farm. If you guys don't already follow her, she's amazing. All of them that I just mentioned are just amazing resources. So I would just sit out here and I would watch videos and I would just see what to do and do it. So in terms of like how to sow seeds, that's all I would do is I would watch a video on how to sow seeds and then I would sow seeds. So it's really not as complicated as people probably think. However, it is very time consuming and I realize that. So let's go ahead and get these seeds in. They also expect a quarter, or I'm sorry, 1/8 of an inch of a hole. So I'm just taking my little tool here. You don't have to use this tool. You can just eyeball it. I promise it's going to come out just fine. That's what I did last year, and it was, yeah, it was fine. But I don't know if I finished what I was saying about my tomato wall, but this year I'm changing it up, and I'm going to be trellising it with just cattle panels. So I'm excited for that. And I was laying in bed last night. I could not sleep. So I actually sat there and created a Canva image of my exact garden and kind of plans that I have for my garden. And I came up with the fact that I think I want to do an in-ground slash, I guess it'd be considered more of a raised bed. I want to do a raised bed. My tomatoes last year were in ground, and I really do love a good in-ground garden. However, I'm not loving the mess that it is at this exact moment. There is mulch that's been scattered everywhere. There's a lot that needs to be revamped before I can put anything in ground. All of my little pathways are gone and stuff like that. So just not loving that. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer these on over into my little container. And we're going to move on to the next step. So here's my little tip for you guys, okay? Here's my little tip. This is probably my favorite gardening tip ever. Here, let me stand up. My back is killing me. My favorite gardening tip is to collect as many clear containers like this as you possibly can to use for mini greenhouses. So when it comes to the garden, when you sow seeds in your garden, you can actually flip this upside down over top any of your little seedlings and plants, and it's going to act as a little mini greenhouse. So that's what I'm going to be doing with these guys. For the sake of storage though, I need to find a good place to put these. So let me go ahead and clear some space, and then I'll show you guys where I plan on putting these seeds. Okay, so this shelf is actually something that my husband found. You guys are never gonna believe where he got this wooden shelf thing. He was at Lowe's one day and decided to drive to the back by the dumpsters. Little fun tip for you guys. A lot of these home improvement stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, they will actually toss away different planters and stuff like that if the plants and the flowers and stuff die. And so if you go back there, a lot of times you will find stuff like that. But that is where he found this. They were throwing this away. My plan for it is to use it in the greenhouse as a potting station. So as of right now, there are slats of wood at the top. We are going to cover it in just a plain piece of wood. I'm thinking about doing like laminate or linoleum on top just so it's easily wipeable and stuff doesn't seep down to the bottom, because down here, that is where I plan to put all of my potting mixes and my extra pots and stuff for storage. So for now, I'm just going to leave my seeds right up here on the top shelf, just like that. They're fine. They're protected. If I wanted to, I could also add an additional container, just like this, to keep those plants semi in a little greenhouse. So that is my video for today. I really appreciate you guys coming on this journey with me. If you've made it to this far at the end of the video, thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys. Happy growing.